lesson number 2. So here we have a graph of honey production, exports versus imports from that period of time, 1955 to 1973. I like this, but there's a few things I want to change. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to calculate using Excel the average and the standard deviation. Now in class you may learn other, I'll just call it STDEV. You may be learning other kinds of methods or new kinds of analysis techniques, but we'll keep it pretty simple. So I want to change this because there's a few things I want to change. I want to get rid of everything again, so let's clear out all the borders by going to no borders, so it looks like that. As usual, we want to put a border around the whole thing. Then we want to put a border under the titles of the labels at the top, and I think an appropriate border would be good to have one here. So we'll go to a top border, and one other thing, I think a side border would be nice here. Again, it's your own ability. You have to be creative in the way you do it, and that looks pretty good. I can see that I do have to lengthen this. So if you need to lengthen columns, you just have to go up to the top, and as soon as you get kind of that vertical line, you just hold the left key and move it over, and you can kind of expand it so that you can see all the things you need to see. And then what I want to do, of course, is let's just kind of get used to making it all centered, and it looks really nice like that. Perfect. Now let's calculate the average. Average is easy. Go to FX. FX is the insert of functions. There's lots of functions you'll be using this year in your class. I'm sure you're really excited about that. But anyways, if you go to insert function and then go to statistical, and you'll see, okay, there's the average. That's okay. Now, then what you want to do is highlight the whole column that you want the average of, press OK, and there you have the average. The other thing that you want to do is to get the average of the other columns, take your cursor and put it on this box. You see this little box in the lower right hand corner? When you go over the box, it turns into a plus sign. Hold the left key, the left mouse part down, and then just drag it across, and wow, it does the whole thing for you. All the averages are calculated for each row. Standard deviation, same thing. What you do is go to statistical, scroll down to something called standard deviation, which we'll use this one, STDEVP, and then go OK, highlight the data, gives us our standard deviation, then drag it across, and you can see that you now have a nice table. Oops, it looks like that line got lost, so we'll just fix that quickly. Okay, now we have an issue. This is a common mistake that many of my friendly sisters in the Beehive make, and that is, and also IB kids, is that you've got too many decimal points here. Of course, your chemistry teacher would go crazy if they saw all these decimals, so we're going to go crazy too. What you need to do is just highlight those decimal places, and we're going to make it, let's say, show you how to change it. And what you want to do is right click on it, go to Format Cells, go to Number, and go to decimal places of 1. And there you have the average and the standard deviation at 1 decimal place. Ah, that's perfect. What are we going to do now? The next thing I want to show you, and only because Beatrice, my really good friend from the other hive down the street, what we want to do is just graph 2 lines together. Let's say the export and the imports. Very simple. What you want to do is you want to insert the line graph, press the line as we used before, select your data, Now we're going to first add the data that would be the y-axis data. This time we need a series name because we have two lines. So we're going to call the first line exports. Go to series values, press the left key on the mouse, highlight it, backspace. Then what you want to do is highlight all the data for the export data. Beautiful. And press OK. But we need to add another line. So we just go legend entries and we go add another line. This time we're going to call this imports. I'm such a slow typer. It's hard when you have 6 legs to type. Now what you want to do is you want to go to series values, the same thing, and you want to highlight all that. Plus you have an antennae, 2 wings, well 4 wings really. Evolutionarily we lost one set. But there you go. Now we have all our values in there, the export and import values. But we have to put in our crop year, so we go over to the other side, which is the x-axis. Highlight all that. Press OK, and you have your graph. Since time is a problem here, I'm just going to remind you, when you want to put the x and y axes labels, go to layout, and it's all listed here, just down here. After you finish that, of course, you would copy it, paste it, put it into your lab, and put the title, the figure title, underneath. Okay. I'm going to just delete this for a second. Don't worry, Beatrice, it's okay, it's still there out in cyber world. But what you want to do is I want to just graph the averages. Pay attention to this because this is often a problem that students have. Okay, now what I want to do is oh god, what a bad joke. Okay, anyways, so what I want to do now is we're going to insert a column graph, which is really very commonly used. So let's learn how to do this now. What we want to do now is we want to select our data as usual. Pay attention now. I want to graph a sort of a column or bar graph of all the averages. I'm going to add it. I don't need a series name because I'm really looking only at one thing. I backspace out the series values. Then I highlight the averages. And look at that. All the averages now appear to be in here, in the graph. I press OK. I do need to put in these things, because what do I have to be? It has production, exports, and imports. Again, this is a glitchy place. This is where a lot of students don't realize how to do this. Go to the X value categories and highlight just production, exports, and imports. And it puts it right in the spot that you need it on the X-axis. Press OK. And you're done your graph. Let's get rid of this series value. I know that all the IB teachers don't like when that's there because it really serves no purpose. So we're going to delete that. Next, the next thing is we need to put error bars. Error bars tell us what's the variation of the data around the mean. So let's go to layout. Go over here where it says error bars, click on that. Go to more error bar options. Our error bars are the standard deviation. So what you want to do is we're going to make special custom ones right there. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to specify the value. We need to get rid of this where it says the positive error value, and then now highlight the standard deviations, the 3 of them that you have. Do the same for the negative error bars. Press OK and close, and then you have a graph with your error bars. These are really big error bars. We would not be happy with this data back home at the Hive, and I'm sure Beatrice in her Hive would be very, very angry about these. They'd probably go nuts. But anyways, it's okay because we're just practicing. So basically you can change other things, like for example, oh, I don't like that little extra decimal there, so I'd probably format the axis. I'd go to number, and instead of 1 decimal place for that, I'd press 0 decimals, and then it would make the change for me. So then again, I'd put on the labels by going on the graph, going to layout, putting on the axes labels, copying and putting into Word, both the table and the graph.